Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Spin Through Podcast. So, a little announcement before we begin. First of all, expect an episode tomorrow, Friday, and expect an episode Saturday. Why? I will talk about it on Monday, onto why. But I think you'll be able to figure it out once you see both episodes back to back. And they're not directly related content-wise, but they're indirectly related in regards to the podcast. So look out Friday and Saturday, especially Saturday, I guess. So Saturday, something brand spanking new. I'm testing out. Don't expect a lot of it, but it will be popping up occasionally. So on to the news. First up, mass gunmen still fortune in Bitcoin in daylight UK robbery. So keep yourself secure. First of all, be careful who you're associating with, because my main question is how did these robbers know who to target? Because that means either this guy was very loud about his crypto stash, or he told the wrong person and they set up a little robbery. So the situation was the robbers kind of took his family a little hostage in their home and forced the guy to send his transaction into their robber's wallet, and no one was harmed, fortunately enough. But still, there's a unknown amount of Bitcoin stolen. The press reports didn't talk about it, probably because they're still on the lookout trying to see if they can do anything to recover the funds. Doubtful, but just minimize the people you're talking to about crypto. If you have a lot of crypto, like if you're one of these big traders who are just trading's in your blood and you have large amount of money in crypto, just really talk about it in a pseudonym name. Like, don't use your real info, or it could be bad for you. And just be careful who you in general associate with. Whenever I hear about situations like that, I really think about these influencers who people know are making money off these various crypto related things, these crypto ICOs in particular, what I'm referring to. But it makes me wonder how they kind of handle their security, because it's just crazy what people are doing now. And just be careful, especially if you're in an unknown area, and because you never know who is falling after you. Next up, Russia plans to regulate production and control of cryptocurrencies. Russia's regulation is wide-sweeping for crypto, and it will include specifics regarding trading, mining, and ICOs. So this ICO limit will limit non-accredited investors from investing more than $800 and could get even stricter. So we should be watching Russia just in case another country wants to emulate their framework, which would be troublesome. There's been talk about the G20 discussing crypto framework for the future and in this international collaboration. So that's something that to really watch out for, and hope it adopts a framework from a more crypto friendly country somewhere in Asia. I mean, that's some of the best places, and maybe somewhere else in Europe, some of these. But I think most of the European countries that are the more friendly are the smaller ones that will definitely not be in attendance. So hopefully Japan can kind of lead the way in crypto regulation, even if they're not perfect, but they're the best we got right now. Next up, Ripple embraced by the UAE-based banks and cryptocurrency exchanges. So Ripple's tech is very highly coveted, very highly attractive, especially to these smaller, more flexible countries. it it helps that the local demand is being hyped up by the local exchange for the crypto side of Ripple, and I think Ripple will have a lot more success than a lot of people will give it credit for, and a lot more success than people are willing to give it or acknowledge that it can potentially have. Mainly because Ripple really kind of goes against a lot of things, and the fact that it isn't as traditional. Well, it doesn't follow like the traditional crypto, and it's so popular is one really big flag for a lot of the people who have been involved for a while. And then obviously the big topic of the supply, who controls the supply, and how the founders control the wide amount of the supply. So, despite that, the fact that Ripple does have that underlying technology that is ideal for these banks will be a very good point for them. And Japanese financial regulator to fine Coincheck for subpar security. So reported on this recently. The exchange lost around 500 million, and it will also be fined for spurring the regulator to look. The Coincheck will also be fined, and it is spurring the regulator to look at other exchanges for similar security issues. The reasons cited for the hack are improper storage, which they were using a hot wallet to store this 500 million funds instead of cold, and the fact that it lacked multi-signature implementation. So, two big things that exchanges definitely need to be on point with. And we can expect more hacks and such. Obviously, exchanges are going to be big targets in the future, very lucrative targets, and these hacks aren't going to stop. So if you're a holder of something, you 100% will want to retreat from exchanges and put your money into a wallet. I guess preferably a hardware wallet, but just use your options. You don't want to have your money on exchange because it does hold that danger of that exchange being hacked and it just being lost forever. Mall in South Korea partners with Bithumb to accept 12 kinds of crypto payments. So Korea mania, it's spreading still. Korea's still crazy about crypto, lasting a lot longer than I thought it would be. But this mall is integrating crypto payments into their existing system, and the utilization of these crypto will be key to, it being accepted as a currency, and more further legitimizing the industry and such. This also kind of forces this tax issue to be addressed when wide spending on the network is seen, because some countries have weird laws with taxing crypto even if you spend it on an actual good or service. Sometimes it's actually still taxed as a capital gain, which is odd to think about, but hopefully we'll have some kind of clear tax that if a coin is used for goods or services, it hopefully it's like an exception to the rule and taxed differently. But we'll see. I'm not sure if it's the same in Korea, but it's weird in America at least. Speaking of America, Texas halts crypto bank operating over regulatory violations. So Rise Bank has been sent a cease and desist and had their funds halted by the U.S. government. It is pretty unsurprising when you really think about the situation or look into it. First of all, there's a lot of promises, but that on its own is the thing. It's the fact that there's a lot of promises that should have publicly available information attached to them. such as the company registration or the FDIC info about these acquired banks. That was the big one that should have been publicly available, but wasn't exactly there because it didn't totally exist in the claimed form. Plus, having bank in your name could cause problems anyway. And there's just a lot of whole drama with this. So, like, something about the CEO and fraud charges, which would apparently automatically disallows, or can't think of the word, but disallows the closest word, disallows him from even being associated with the FDIC banks. There's a lot of other drama there, but the fact that it's just the attitude from the beginning should have told you that it wouldn't end well, because taking on the government head on isn't exactly the smartest plan. But I agree that sometimes you have to go against the government, but head on like they attempted it was doomed to fail. Just, you want to skirt the lines, not charge into the bull. Japan's largest consumer and electronic chain now accepts Bitcoin. Another use case. Asia's really leading the way on actual adoption. And that's good because, like I said, if these coins are meant to be spent, and having more uses than speculation is positive. It's good in the long term, even if you might not be able to see profits as crazy as you used to. But I feel like that won't hold until the market grows more in the trillions, before we see a steady stagnation and gains in comparison to the heydays. But that's kind of off topic. So next up, Canada, no tax change for Bitcoin as the government is set to launch a blockchain ID scheme. So unfortunately, taxes aren't changing, legislation is not changing, but so this is kind of interesting that they're launching this ID pilot. But my only thing is, it's pretty similar, just really like an upgrade to existing infrastructure, if Canada has something similar to America. Because I know here there's like a program where you can send that biometric data and have your ability to fly expedited, your like weight less or something. That's basically what this program is trying to do, except the main benefit I could see is it's easier to transfer this data between countries or airports or whatever you need, wherever it needs to go, via blockchain and other databases. And on the flip side of that, it also can function as its own little thing for people who shouldn't be flying, so easily shared between countries. So that's what Canada's doing. Seems like an infrastructure upgrade more than anything, but all these initiatives will be interesting to see play out, and the effects of governments actually accepting the crypto half will also be something to look out for. Even if I feel like the fact that they're embracing blockchain, they eventually do have to come around to the crypto half of things, because it's such an important part that you really cannot ignore it. CoinMarketCap reinstates all those South Korean price tracking. This has added on back all the money that was wiped out, like the market cap that was wiped out weeks ago. And the real question is, how will they react when Korea obviously balls out of control and has a ridiculous premium again as the price rises? Will they take it off again or do something else? this isn't really a issue they can solve just removing or adding Korea back and forth. This is a problem that really sets into the fact that Korea is making arbitrage between different exchanges very hard, considering foreign nationals are very limited, near impossible to access the Korean exchanges now after this new legislation change, and the fact that trading in the Korean won anyway is that's a lot of work that most people won't go through. Maybe when we see bigger institutional investors with more political pull, they'll be able to get the prices down to a comparable level, but individuals definitely do not have that opportunity and probably won't anytime soon. Over 1 million millennials flock to Robinhood for crypto. This is a pretty good example of a mainstream solution going into crypto and benefiting pretty well. It's also unsurprising that they're making this move, considering normal exchanges are bombarded by hundreds of thousands per day, and capacity is a big issue with these exchanges. They can't handle capacity, especially when they're trying to prove identities. So the fact that Robinhood's entering in this will not only help with that capacity issue, but also onboard a lot of newer people into the world of crypto, which is a net gain for all of us. Next up, another government-related thing. Bitfury enters Bitcoin crime fighting business, and it's even more official that Bitcoin is now, if you didn't know, but it's garbage for illicit goods. Like, Bitcoin is absolutely one of the worst if you're trying to do something illegal, especially when it's drug related. So the fact that Bitfury now is expanding their capabilities of tracking Bitcoin, and I'm sure eventually it'll be absolutely insane of how they can track it and how they can identify an ID to a specific information that they come out of. It's concerning, but it's also something that's like, it was inevitable because these governments were hounding for anti-terrorist legislation regarding crypto, and this is kind of what we got. So we just have to try to navigate this, and just a lot of government things coming down, and people aren't really ready. But this tracking should have been an obvious addition that was going to happen. If Bitfury didn't do it, someone else was going to do it, because, like I said, the government's just been harping way too much on illegal uses, even if that's been minimized as the years go on. And that's why you should use a privacy coin too, or that's most likely why, if these darknets haven't switched over, they will 100% be switching over very soon. Samsung, South Korea's largest firm, is manufacturing the ASIC chips for Bitcoin mining, and they are also thinking about entering the GPU mining market too. And this is great because more competition for the mining industry, and the fact that this is a major conglomerate will bolster up the fact that they will be able to kind of throw down their own little corner and try to solidify that. If it was just some other company trying to do something, some little unknown company, you probably wouldn't be able to expect much, especially the fact that mining, like making mining equipment, there's already been multiple times in the history where somebody just couldn't keep up with the promises that they made with people order wise. So it being a massive company is good, is a benefit in the long run, since you can kind of avoid that to lesser. Well, you'll experience it to a lesser degree than a totally new company. So another blockchain ETF is also launched, and it's more legitimizing crypto through this, and it's also a good opportunity to have something more legally clear tax wise, and kind of have that tax. Yeah, I think it's more beneficial tax wise than outright buying Bitcoin currently. Can't say I'm positive about that since taxation is not my specialty area, but off the top of my head, I'd say I think technically ETF is more beneficial tax wise just because the tax regarding crypto is definitely not updated, especially in America, but it might be better somewhere else. Who knows? I know the UK has some very interesting ways, and cryptos do count for the ISAs or whatever they have, because I know someone who's been doing that. But I'm just gonna move on since that's a very personal issue depending on where you live. Report: CFTC sends subpoenas to Bitfinex and Tether. So this is old, and the only reason I included this was because I wanted to talk about the reaction from the community, and it's very troubling. Mainly because the reaction wasn't, oh, they're doing something bad, or we have suspect of them doing something bad, which is Bitfinex doing something bad. It was, this news is old, so it's FUD, and you shouldn't even care that the news is there again, even if, because it's old news. And that's stupid thinking. Just because it's old news does not make it irrelevant news, and the fact that there's even a possibility for the U.S. government to come clashing down on Bitfinex should make you suspicious in using it. And I know, actually, I'm just gonna hold this part, but until later. But there's so much to talk about with people just overestimating their power against governments. I'll leave that for now. Next up, Facebook is banning ads for Bitcoin and ICOs. So all crypto ads are now banned from Facebook and Instagram. No more of that creepy guy with the curly brown hair and the weird glasses. No chance of Ty Lopez trying to convince you to join his IPO unless you browse YouTube, because YouTube is not included because it's Google. And no chance of seeing any ads that I'd post, because I've already been affected by Facebook and their stupid robot who approves and disapproves the ad. I remember it was like 2-3 months ago that one of my ad accounts got banned because the wording, I guess, I used on the ad, and it wasn't even a link to anything malicious. It was just a YouTube link to one of the episodes, but it was, I guess the headline was too clickbaity, too in line with this new crypto ban. So it was the first wave of that in a way, I guess. But you definitely won't be seeing crypto ads on Facebook or Insta now. Pretty unfortunate and fortunate, because from what I've been understanding, most of the Facebook ads crypto ads that end up on Facebook or Instagram are actual just hot garbage and praise to less research-oriented investors. So it makes sense that Facebook kind of want to protect its brand in a way, and protect its users from malicious ICOs, affiliate links, whatever you find on Facebook. I don't know. I don't really browse it all that much, or any. And next up, Bitcoin Exchange will be to open U.S. office. This is a formerly Chinese exchange that went off to Japan and now looking to expand in the U.S., which is good. More options for U.S. customers to convert their U.S. dollars into Bitcoin or something else. More options, the better, especially when other options are going down the drain and their quality is suffering and service is suffering. So look out for this exchange to be offering a U.S. version, or be looking to get more U.S. oriented. South Korea, crypto mixed up in 600 million illegal forex trade. So this is one of the reasons governments would be invested in Bitfury, to be able to track crypto in such a case just like this. And it's just inevitable. Like, these two things just reinforce themselves. And fortunately, these Korean government's not taking action against the exchange or party that facilitated this, because granted, they might have not have known, or maybe they did, but currently they're getting a slap on the wrist. But in the future, that definitely won't happen. And in the near future, they could definitely just change their mind and actually find them with something or do something else. But who knows? Right now it's unclear if someone's getting in big trouble for being kind of that third party in the situation. But as I said, this is why people would track trades, because things like this happening, and then having the ability to track it is beneficial to locking a hacker out of X amount of whatever funds that they stole, because it will just sit there in limbo if they can't cash out. Trading cryptocurrency based on GitHub activity. So there's this new thing called Crypto Miso, and people have been talking about it because it presents GitHub activity for coins. And it's just a little PSA that don't use that as your only metric, because it's a garbage metric on its own. Doesn't mean that the project is going to be successful, not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily mean it will fail. It's just something that show you that they're actually working, that something's happening, and that's good for the long term. And then, funny enough, it might not be good for the short term, because price usually increases more on hype and whatever, more than things based on reality in the short term. So just keep that little fact in mind. But you can go here, check out what's popular, what activity your coin of your choosing has. I don't know their capabilities. I'm pretty sure it's not every coin under the sun. But even if it's not, it's still good to check it out. Try to get a feeling to what makes a project valuable, and discerning between the updates to see if it's actual work updates or just fluff updates. And finally, it's a little kind of op-ed kind of piece. Not really op-ed, just a little something. So I want to just address the fact that there's a lot of interesting articles today regarding a lot of anti-government stances. And while there is 100% nothing wrong with the anti-government stance, I feel like you have to include a brain with it sometimes, because there are just some scenarios, some cases where you are just being delusional that you can stand against a ruling or the existing framework or whatever when you lack the money or the influence to do so. So there's always a lot of talk in crypto and a lot of hate when something's working with the government or some news with the government closing something down and people saying it should be self-policed. There's also another part of this argument where some people aren't as smart as you and they need that policing, that first wall to prevent them from being idiots and spending their money on something that's a scam. So while we should not welcome the government with open arms because some of them have no clue what they're talking about, we also need to pace with the fact that there's this world that we have to exist in, and if your framework isn't going to either adapt to the framework that you're already in or slightly change it for the better, don't try to be imposing, because you're not going to be able to change the entire government from one crypto or one whatever. This attitude has just been prevalent recently, and I just feel like it's a bad attitude to have, because it won't get crypto far having an attitude like this, especially at the moment where if there's too many actors not wanting to be kind of fit to be regulated or existing within the framework, yet are handling millions upon millions of dollars, that will kind of have a backlash of the governments doing something rash, possibly, or locking people. I don't know. There's just things to be concerned and just think upon. And that'll be it for today. Kind of rambled on at some points. I apologize, but sometimes it just starts flowing out my mouth. Like I said, Friday episode, Saturday episode, Monday episode explaining the Friday and Saturday. If you have a super mega brain, you'll be able to figure out why. Otherwise, I'll just tell you on Monday anyway, so look out for that. And it was great as always to have you listen on to the Crypto Spin Thrift Podcast. Tune in Monday, rate and review 5 stars, all that jazz. Thank you.